Hello everyone, welcome back to the Real Talk podcast. It is another solo episode. I never thought I would end up doing podcasts on my own, talking to a microphone, because quite honestly I thought I'd never have anything particularly interesting or that deep to talk about. But I am down here at the farm on a Sunday and I've been having quite a trying start to 2024, to be honest. Some of which you may know about, others you don't, but we'll get into that. And I tend to find that these Sundays where I come down here, maybe try and film a video. If not, I'll sit down, I'll do some planning. I will, check over accounts and things like that. Is my chance to sit on my own. The phone isn't ringing. No one's asking me for anything. I don't have to answer emails. And I get a chance to reflect and reevaluate a little bit, I guess, which is something I probably haven't done enough. And maybe I need to dedicate time to doing. The title of this podcast will probably be something along the lines of, why don't we ever take our own advice? Or why is our own advice the hardest to take? Which is what I'm asking myself at the moment, because of certain things that are going on. I'm going to make some kind of big decisions in the business, Barrow Motors. I guess I've just paid my capital gains tax bill, which wasn't very big, which is great because I didn't have a lot of tax to pay. But on the other hand, I haven't made as much profit as I would like to. And, we've really been pressing hard to expand. I've been looking at the next steps for expansion, including setting up the new MOT centre so that we had more space for doing mechanical work, for sorting out MOTs, etc., so that we could sell more cars and be more profitable. And obviously that's kind of all fallen apart a little bit. Obviously on top of the MOT centre not going ahead because of some kind of stipulations that I put in when I wanted the unit with the yard on the side. I wanted first refusal on that. They agreed that would be a term. They've let that to someone else, so I can't have that now. So I've backed out because of that. We seem to have had a non-stop stream of warranty claims coming in. Nothing down to prep on cars. We've done them, but things just happen to go wrong. They are used items and things will go wrong with cars. That's fine. But we've had one member of staff off as well for about 2 weeks now, and he's going to be off for another week because he's got the flu, which is Adrian. God bless him. It's not really his fault, obviously. He's got the flu and these things happen, but we don't really have much of a backup plan for that. And we've got customers waiting for their cars to get done. Our sales stuff is getting held up again, and yeah, it's just put me in a difficult situation and made me it's forced me to reevaluate, which is something I think people in businesses don't do enough. I think I do it fairly regularly, but I don't know if we really reevaluate on a deep enough level. I've got to think to myself, why was I looking to expand the workshop and why was I taking on an MOT centre, etc.? And the kind of basic answer is, well, because we didn't have enough MOTs and we need more. People couldn't seem to offer them to us, and we were running from town to town to get MOTs, booking them in left, right and centre. We were driving across to Western-super-Mare, which is about 20 minutes drive. Sometimes we were going to Taunton, which is half an hour's drive, and back again to book on our MOTs for sales cars. And then we're dealing with MOT centres that we don't deal with very often. Perhaps they're not not necessarily lenient. We're not asking them to overlook things, but if it fails on a bulb or a wiper blade, can you just do it? Or trust us that we will do it, and so we don't have to do another half an hour trip back to Taunton and do it again. So that's the surface level reason. But if I really think about it and go back to the beginning of what I started out to do when I had my first unit, and I thought I'll start selling some cars because I think there's some money in this and I can do it, and I've got an eye for it and I really enjoy it. I enjoy buying the cars, I enjoy selling them. And when we moved to Barrow Motors, or the garage that is now Barrow Motors, they had workshops there, which was great. We had the space to do it. We already had one ramp, but this gave us 3 ramps. And we thought, great, we can have some service work coming in here as well, and that will keep the money ticking over. And maybe that was useful in the beginning when it was just me and Dan. And even then, if I think back, Dan was stressed out about doing it all, and we ended up getting new employees in. Now, obviously, we've got 2 full-time mechanics, plus Dan, who will dabble, doing a little bit. And we've got MOTs booked with MOT centres 1 per day. Customers come and get their MOTs and they send them. And when I really think about it, the only reason we did that is kind of out of wanting to not withdraw a service that was originally in that building. We wanted to try and bring in a customer base that was already there. Felt like it was an opportunity, and maybe this is a mistake that I make, is seeing opportunities and going after every single one of them, which you don't have to do. And I wonder if really in the long run it's been detrimental to my car sales business. The more I think about it now, MOT centres are kind of not closing ranks, but they're looking after themselves, which is fair enough, and they don't want to give us trade MOTs anymore, or at least the local ones don't. So we are getting charged £55 for an MOT, and we're reselling that at £55. Obviously, that's just not making any money there. But in fact, we're losing money because we drive the car over to the customer. We drive one of our own cars back using our own fuel, and then we'll wait till the MOT's done. Then we'll drive our car back again using our own fuel, and then bring their car back and give it to them. Now, if it fails, we will get some mechanical work out of it. We might get a chance to make some of our money back there, but we're already at a loss, before we even start doing the work. So it's not hugely profitable. Or the other scenario is that they pass the MOT, no work's required on our front. We've kind of just lost money to give someone a service, and it doesn't take any time from our workshop, but we've lost money basically just to be providing a service. Now, if you want to factor that into your business as you want to be keeping those customers coming in regularly, it keeps them coming through the door, and whether it makes you money or not, or it maybe even loses you a bit of money, then fair enough. On the law of averages, we are making money out of the workshop because of all those MOTs. Maybe let's say 50% of them fail and they require work. We get to charge them our labour charge, and we make profit on that. So there is money to be made in the workshop stuff. But it's not an ideal situation, which is why if we had an MOT centre, we'd be paying £2.50 per MOT slot. We'd be paying someone labour of, let's say, £20 an hour, and we charge out 55 quid. So you'd be making profit on them rather than losing money. Downside to that as well is exposure to problems. I've had it where you might see me talking about this in a weekly episode, but we had a customer who brought their car in for an MOT. We drove it across. It passed. We drove it back. They came and collected it, and a day later they came in and said, "My car's filthy, and what have you done? It's got mud all in the arches, and someone's been off-road on it, and there's mud in the footwell, and it's disgusting." And I was like, very apologetic. "I'm very sorry. How could this have possibly happened?" You get out there, and there was a grain of sand in the footwell. There was literally nothing. It had a splash from a puddle mark on the outside of it, and there was no mud. I mean, this car was practically brand new, and there was nothing in the wheel arches. I don't really understand it. I mean, it's driven through a puddle because we had to take it across to an MOT centre for you, because we're providing you a convenience service of where you drop the car with us in your locality so you can walk home, and we take it to the MOT centre because you can't be bothered. So, we're providing you a service. It's got to be driven. These things happen. And I'm just thinking to myself, why am I inviting these problems into our world for something that's not really profitable? When I started out, we wanted to do car sales, and then we took on mechanical work as this could be like a little side thing that brings in a bit of money. But now if I look back on it, and I think actually it's detracting from us selling cars. Why are we giving these local MOTs to customers where we might be losing money, and we're running around booking in MOTs for ourselves across different towns? Obviously, from the outside, that probably sounds daft, and it is. I mean, it really is. But when you're in it, you're thinking, well, this is a service. We don't want to stop this. We don't want to tell the local people that we're not going to be doing MOTs for them anymore. In fact, at one point when we said that we weren't doing MOTs for people unless they were booking a service or something else because we were losing money, that it got round like wildfire that we weren't doing mechanical work anymore, and people kept coming in saying, "Oh, yeah, you're not doing mechanical work anymore," and that's such a shame because you're so local to us. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that if a friend came to me asking for business advice and they said, "Look, all I seem to do is spend my time getting stressed out about customers bringing in their cars where we might be making £100 profit. I want to get a car sold, or a car gets sold, and I want to get the MOT done. I want to get it in the workshop, but I can't because Derek's Focus is in there getting a cam belt done, and someone else is having a service done. And all right, that might make us £200, £300 for the day, but I've got £2,000 profit in this car." I would say, right, first of all, you need to focus on one thing and be really good at it. So the sales, forget about the workshop, get rid of it. It might be bringing you in some money, but if it's slowing down you making more money from car sales, or it's stopping you from being the best car sales place you can be, then you need to cut it out. Yes, some people might be disappointed, but at the end of the day, you're not here to lose money for other people's benefit. They wouldn't really thank you for it. They're not willing to pay twice as much for the convenience, understandably. So you're not obliged to offer that service at a loss. You need to take care of number one first. Make sure your business is as profitable as you want to be. I mean, all right, we're making profit. All of our staff are paid or whatever, but I feel like morale, everything could be better if we just stuck to doing one thing well, being the car sales and the transport as well, but get rid of the mechanical work because it just seems to clog up the workshop. It creates problems for staff, for me, that we just don't need. And probably as a lot of you who watch my Shifting Metal YouTube channel will know, I've got a farm out here that is full of cars that are waiting on work to be done, but we just don't seem to be able to carve out time to do them, partly because we're already busy with our own prep and warranty work, but also partly, of course, we're offering services to the public so they can come and book in saying, I want this done and that done, and it might take up a whole day. We might be able to clear a couple of our cars, and that might bring £10,000 back into my business by doing it that way. So now when I think about everything that happened with the M&T Centre and how it's not coming together, I feel like I've probably dodged a bullet. Of course, there's a massive investment in getting all of that set up to bring in kind of smaller returns that would have been something you could rely on, that would be constantly in demand, but would never make the profits that used cars sales make. So I could have quite easily spent £100,000 on kitting out an M&T Centre and another workshop beside it, and then maybe whatever would have come with the yard. Whereas within a year, I think from £100,000 investment in used cars, I could make more money. But I just had it in my mind that, well, we need to because we offer these services. And if we want to keep the supply up of these services as well as service our own needs, I will have to expand. It didn't really come into my mind to think I should just get rid of this. I mean, well, that's a lie. It did come into my mind, but I just felt like I can't let the local people down. But, I can't let myself or my family down by, just offering a service that isn't viable. So I suppose what I'm getting at here is that I think occasionally you need to sit down, reassess, and be honest with yourself in business. And do you know what? I think this applies to relationships as well, because we're all guilty of that, aren't we? Giving friends advice on a relationship, saying you need to get rid of them, they're not good for you, but not doing it yourself. It's hard to take your own advice. I don't know why it's always so hard to do what you know is right. Of course, there's emotion involved in it. So one thing I do occasionally, and I'm sure it's not a very, it's not a revolutionary thing. Lots of people have done this, but if you've got an issue, whether it be your relationship or, your business or whatever it is, your job, maybe you're thinking, do I move on and do another job? I'm working a job here that makes me miserable, but it's steady and it's reliable, but I've got the opportunity to do something that really excites me. I like to just think, imagine this is your friend or, a loved one, someone you really care about, and think of that problem from their point of view. They have come to you and said, I hate this job. It makes me miserable, but it is secure. I've had an opportunity to do a job that I absolutely would love to do, but it's in a startup company. Perhaps it's not as guaranteed, but I would love to do it. If that was your friend, you turn around and say, look, you've just got to take the risk. If that doesn't work out, then something else will, but you can't stay where you are miserable forever. And the same applies for business. I think if people come to me and they've said, I want to do this, and then I want to do that on top, and I'm going to start out by doing, valeting, and we're going to do window tinting as well, and then I'm going to offer ceramic coating, and I also want to do, car stereo installations. My advice is always like, do one thing really well first. Make sure that you're really good at that thing, and it's really profitable before you add in something else, something that aligns with your business already. Do that. And I guess I haven't taken my advice. I haven't gone back to the beginning and thought, what do I really want to do? And what I really want to do is be really good at used car sales. And we've kind of tacked on the mechanical work because it was there, it was available. We got plenty of opportunity to do it. But I've got absolutely no passion for doing that. It's just something that I feel kind of weighed down with, to be honest. So I think as far as tomorrow morning goes, which will be a Monday, we'll have our Monday morning meeting and I'll just say, look, we are not booking in any more work whatsoever. You can keep your eye out on the Barrow Motors page. There'll probably be a video from me as well as a post explaining why we can't do mechanical work anymore. We will do our own no staff's going anywhere. We're going to keep as many staff as we've got already. I want to make sure everyone stays in a job. We're already profitable, even if it's not as much profit as I'd like. But I think we can do more. And it's quite exciting, really, that we can manage our own prep. We can do our own warranty work. And anyone who's bought a car from us, we will do after sales where we will look after you and do servicing. But someone pulling in and saying, my car's overheating and it's this and that, and clearly they haven't maintained it, to book them in a hurry, get the job done for them, and then for them to come back the next week saying, I've got a flat tyre now, and that's obviously your fault because you had it last week. I have no idea why I've allowed myself to keep taking on that kind of exposure for very little return. So, in summary, I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes you have to have the courage to take your own advice. It's difficult, but you've got to follow through with it and trust your gut, know what's right for you. You can't ignore it because you don't want to upset other people. Trust me, I've upset a lot of people over the years by doing what is important to me. And on the whole, it's paid off, and I've been glad that I've done it. And most of the people that I was worried about upsetting were completely understanding. Secondly, every once in a while, it pays to kind of reassess and frame it as your friends coming to you, giving you their kind of life story, and you want to give them some advice. A lot of the time, we don't give ourselves the same consideration that we would do to loved people, to loved ones, friends, and whatever. We just think, I'll put up with it. But you wouldn't allow your friends to put up with it. So, put number one first. Make sure that you are putting yourself first, your needs and whatever is going to make you happier and more content in life. Thirdly, I think sometimes it pays to plan out where it is you want to be. What you see, these vision boards. If you want to do a vision board, that's great. Think about what it is you want out of life, and not necessarily like, I'd love to have a Lamborghini and a nice house and whatever. And I know a lot of people do that and they say that it works and it's great for them. If those things are important to you, I think more importantly, the deep core things. I want to feel really satisfied in my job. I want to feel, I guess these are things I can say about myself. I want to feel satisfied in my job. I want to feel kind of proud of myself and my team and what it is we do as a business. I want to have time and energy for loved ones, things like that. These kind of more base important things. It pays to get those written down. And fourthly, make sure you subscribe to this podcast because I'll be doing these fairly regularly. I think I'm just going to have these when I have a weird little epiphany. I will sit here and talk about it, and maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. That's certainly not the most profound information, but it just sometimes, it's good to rethink things occasionally, or think over things again, but in a different light. Hearing someone else saying it, giving validation to what you're thinking as well. I feel like this would be useful to me. So hopefully it's useful to you. And if it is, then make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like if you're watching this on YouTube. Share it with someone who you think may benefit from it. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or whatever, then please do leave me a review. Let me know what you might like to hear or see from future podcasts. And I will see you then.